Ever wonder what the Anglo-Saxons were thinking when they weren't carving each other up? Yeah. So, Beowulf for Sunday. Yeah. Beowulf, The Problem, Section 1. That's really fucking hot. It's 28 degrees, which is 82 Fahrenheit. Today we start on this book. A book by W.R. Chambers, an introduction to the study of the poem, in this case Beowulf. Beyond the monsters and the epic boasts, Beowulf is a brutal, bloody window into a brutal, bloody past. It's a story of survival, power, and the terrifying truth of existence in Anglo-Saxon England. And trust me, it's far more compelling and far more real than any Hollywood adaptation you've shoved into your eyeballs. So we are going to start with this book. Like I mentioned, this is quite the hefty boy. 600, 500, quite a lot of pages. Now I've been going through this one chapter at a time, sorry. When did this come out? 60s, I think. 1967. It says it right there. 1967. So this is quite, when it comes to the research for Beowulf, it's out of date, but I really enjoyed reading it. This is the third edition, and so I've decided to just start making videos based on the chapters in this book. So yeah, this is the first one. It's called The Problem, and it's the problem that we have with the manuscript. Let me just get on with the script and let's start with the hard facts. The unique manuscript of Beowulf, the one we actually have, sits pretty in the British Library in London. It's a beautiful thing. It's a clean piece of work, elegant scripts, probably commissioned for some posh lord study or a monk's quiet contemplation. It's pretty good. It's in pretty good shape. The unsinged parts, that is. Drink tea. But here's the thing, the first layers of grime on this seemingly clean story, this manuscript, this copy, is centuries removed from the events it describes. Think about it. Talking about a time gap roughly equivalent to the distance between us right now and Shakespeare's Henry V. That's 500 years, for those of you who have no idea when Henry V was written. Fine, it was like 426 years ago, but you know, I'm rounding up. 500 years of silent, swirling darkness between the time this story was actually composed, let's pass anyway, and the vellum that it was finally written down on. Imagine trying to piece together a crime from a witness statement from half a millennia ago. That is the monumental headache the scholars, those poor bastards, have been trying to pin this down. 3 generations of the sharpest minds from across the globe picking at the edges of this thing, trying to make sense of the scraps. They've built entire libraries brick by painstaking brick around this one poem, just trying to crack it. So yeah, it's not an easy read for them or for you. The simple truth, as always, is buried deep under layers of dust and time, obscured by the half millennia of whispers and forgotten histories. This isn't just a story, it's a cold case. With that heavy caveat out of the way, that we're essentially dealing with a historical echo, let's strip this thing down. What's the actual plot? For those of you in school curriculum who skipped straight from the Tudors to TikTok. First up, our hero, Beowulf. Geatish prince, tough as nails. Here's about a problem down in Denmark. King Hrothgar's been having a bit of a problem. His magnificent hall head office is being terrorized by some monstrous night stalker named Grendel. This ugly prick's been tearing men apart, eating them for 12 years. So Beowulf, being the hero, crosses the Whale Road to Denmark. Sorts out Grendel, fights him hand to hand and rips his arm off. Grendel scurries away and dies. But then Grendel's mum shows up. She's a vicious piece of work, pissed off and looking for blood. Beowulf hunts her down to a murky underwater lair that no sane man would ever venture into, and he puts her down with a giant sword he just so happened to find hanging on the wall. Who's that Machina? He goes home a legend. His king, Hialak, gives him the royal handshake. The man's a hero, a national treasure, and later, Beowulf becomes king himself. 50 years pass, he's ruling, keeping the peace, probably getting a bit soft in the middle. And then, a new problem shows up. Not your cute, cuddly CGI problem. A proper fire-breathing, treasure-hoarding, village-incinerating problem. Dragon, in case you hadn't gotten that. Beowulf, even as an old man, doesn't hold back. He fights it, he kills it, but at what cost? His own life. A final heroic sacrifice. The poem ends with his bloody burning pyre, a brutal end to a brutal and legendary man. Now, you hear all that, men torn apart, monsters, underwater lairs, dragons, and you think, right, total fairy tale, level bollocks. And yeah, on the surface, it sounds like pure fantasy. But here's the thing. The truly mind-bending part of Beowulf, beneath the monsters and the heroic boasts, there's a bedrock of historical fact. The Anglo-Saxons love their stories. They love their heroes and their monsters. But they also love their history. Oral tradition, their sagas, they're often rooted in real events, real people, real places, and Beowulf is no different. The poem is littered with what scholars call digressions, little asides, throwaway lines that the Geats, the Swedes and the Danes, mentions of kings, battles, alliances, and some of that information is not just embroidery. It's not just there to make the poem sound good. This isn't just poetic license. Historians have cross-referenced these details, dug through archaeological finds, peered into ancient texts, and found that much of it holds up. It's solid. It's history. The presence of a king like Hygelac, the battles, the tribal dynamics between the Geats, the Swedes and the Danes, these aren't just made-up names in a fantasy adventure. These are real elements of an Anglo-Saxon world, confirmed by historical evidence. While Beowulf is slaying monsters, the backdrop, the stage on which this epic is performed, is a genuinely brutal and historical reality. It's a mirror reflecting the world these people lived in, the alliances they made, the enemies they fought. It means that the Anglo-Saxons weren't just telling fantastical stories, they were embedding their history, their lineage, and their worldview directly into the narrative. They were teaching their history through these blood-soaked tales. And that, my friends, is why it's so important to peel back the layers, to see beyond the surface. So why should you, a modern person living in a supposedly civilized world, give a fuck about some old poem filled with monsters and 500-year information gap? Because Beowulf is more than just an old poem, more than just a dusty academic exercise. It's a brutal bloody window into a brutal bloody past. It reveals the Anglo-Saxon mind. What kind of world produces a hero who rips arms off and dives into the murky lairs to fight monstrous mothers? A world where violence wasn't just possibility, it was a consistent, inescapable reality. A world where glory was found in battle, honour in loyalty, and wisdom in facing down death. It wasn't a society that sugarcoated things. They faced cold, famine, disease, constant warfare. The gods were grim and their monsters tangible. This poem reflects that grim reality. It shows us their values, courage above all else, loyalty to your king and your kin, and the acceptance of one's fate. So, the next time you hear Beowulf, don't just think some dusty old poem from school. Think of it not as a fairy tale, but as a gritty historical document hidden within a fantastical shell. Think of it as a testament to the enduring power of fact within legend, and think of it as a damn good story. And that, you lovely bastards, is the first foray into Chambers' book. We've barely scratched the surface here, believe me. There's so much more buried in these pages. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them without using Google. Let's have another cup of tea before I get to this outro. Ooh, anyway, happy Fridays. The YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video if you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.